See, yesterday, we have done with other model related stuff, and we have started looking into the agile methodology, correct? Agile model is the one. So this agile model, as I told you, it is nothing but it's a combination of iterative and incremental models combination only. They have just brought up this agile. That means, so like we are just going to have the builds very much parallelly, and as well as we are going to get the requirements continuously. So continuously the requirements are going to come from the customers, and we are just going to build those requirements continuously, and we are just going to proceed further, right? So see here, almost like if you see here, this model is almost used by 70% of the companies in nowadays. Like the maybe 60 to 70% of the companies are started using this agile methodologies or model. Okay, so usually why they prefer this agile means, previously in any other models we will not have very quick releases. That means only in agile, right? So we had a releases. That means, for example, the customer is going to provide some set of requirements. Okay, these requirements we are just going to break into some set of some parts of the requirements. We are just going to break this requirements into some set of parts, and we are just, so we maybe you think that we are just going to start from today. So today is, what is the date? It is 13th, right? So from today they are going to have a release within 2 weeks to 3 weeks. Either 2 weeks means, 2 weeks means what is the date? Like it's going to be 13th. Today we are just going to start. 2 weeks means 27th. We should we should have one of the release on 27th, or otherwise if they are going to say that it's a 3 weeks release, either 2 weeks once we are just going to have a release, or otherwise 3 weeks once. That means third here it's going to be May, here June 3rd. So here also it's May, 13th May. That means, see, here we are going to have the release of the particular requirement. For example, so this requirement we are just going to consider, and we maybe we are going to do an estimation for this particular requirement. Can we release this particular requirement within either 2 weeks or 3 weeks of time span? So within the time span we are able to do means, we are just going to consider these particular requirements and we are just going to take it into the consideration. Okay, you are getting this point. So every 2 to 3 weeks we are just going to release it to the customers. Here previously we will not after doing this particular module, and after completing these things, so after integrating some set of things only we are just going to release it to the customers. But here we will take each and every requirement, and that is already we had this particular requirement here. This requirement we have subdivided that into, or otherwise we have broken that requirement into some set of sub requirements, like small requirements or pieces of a requirements. So we are just going to estimate that this particular piece of requirement can be developed within this 2 weeks or 3 weeks of time or not. If that is we are able to do that within 2 weeks means, for example, here when it comes to the agile, right, we are going to have the releases within every 2 to 3 weeks of time. Here we no need to provide complete requirements in the starting itself. See here one thing is, either the customer can provide the complete requirement initially, or otherwise he can just provide only some set of requirements which was very much clear from his point of view. So we are just going to take that requirement. So we will not wait for the customer to do an analysis and come up with some set of another requirements and all. Here we are just going to take these requirements and we are just going to start building the application, start building this application. So we are going to make ready of these particular requirements within this 2 to 3 weeks of time. See, who is going to decide either 2 weeks or 3 weeks? That is going to be decided by our Scrum Masters. There will be, see, here when you come to the Agile, right, you want to understand who are the people that are involved in this Agile methodology. Means first, actually, one of the person called from our side, I am telling. So first, initially here customer is going to be there. So maybe I'll just consider customer also. And the next to customer, we are just going to have a person called product owner. Product owner will be there. So what is the product owner is going to do here? The product owner responsibility is he want to talk with customer and get the requirements, gathering the requirements. That too, if he see here, when it comes to Agile, right, the customer may not know the complete requirement. He may not know the complete knowledge of software or anything. He is going to give some set of some information about the existing system, existing manual process. He is going to give some information about the existing manual process which these customers are following. So his expectation is he want to convert this manual process into a system. Then this from this product owner is going to get the information which is provided by this customer, and he is going to that is the requirement. We are going to call it as a requirements, right? So that requirements, this product owner is going to convert that information as a, like the information can be either customer can give oral information or otherwise in a one line of information. Customer, how he is going to provide the requirements means either orally he is going to convey the information. Convey the information to the product owner, or otherwise he also may give single line requirements, which is called as epics. We are just going to call this customer requirements as epics here. Okay, if the customer is orally, he is going to give some information, means this product owner is going to create that epics. So product owner will create the epic in our system. Okay, that means, so initially customer is going to provide the requirement, product owner is going to collect the information, and then there is another role. See, these are all the, when you come to the Agile, right? Agile roles. Agile roles means, so who and all will be there in this Agile process? Who will be available? Who will be there in Agile process? So you're getting this point. See, who are all the peoples they are going to involve in this Agile model means these are all the peoples. First, initially customer, and then product owner. Product owner responsibility is he want to talk with customer and get the information or otherwise requirements or epics from this customer. Once he got the requirements means we will be having one system called See, when it comes to agile model, right? Here we are going to have a tool. We are going to use a tool. We are going to use a tool called Jira. So the Jira tool is the one which is going to be used for handling up this agile methodology. The complete agile process is going to be followed by using this Jira tool. Okay, you got it right? By using this Jira tool only, we are just going to follow this process. So using this Jira only, we are going to define the process. Define the process or track the process or information or data. See what is happening inside our like project. All the process can be tracked by using this tool called Jira. Okay, you just note down this point. So Jira tool, I'm just going to explain you about this Jira tool in the coming sessions. You no need to worry about this. Okay, but see here, this product owner, what is the requirements that we got? He got it from the customer. That I told Epix, right? That Epix he is going to get recorded in this particular tool called Jira. So he's going to. It is like a requirement. This Jira can be. It's a management tool. We are just going to call it as either a management tool or it's a QA testing tool. QA or testing tool. Sorry, testing. It's a bug tracking tool. QA bug tracking tool. That means we see for the Jira, right? It is going to be used as a management tool as well as for QA, right? We are just going to use as a bug tracking tool. Whatever the issues that we find in the software or in the requirements, whatever the things that we are just going to raise an issues or bugs in this particular Jira tool. We are going to do this. Okay, now this is fine. So we are just going to see this regarding this Jira tool in the coming session. We no need to bother about this. But here after this product owner, right? So there is another role will be available in this agile methodology that is called Scrum Master. This is one of the role. Scrum Master is one of the person. So what is his responsibility is? So his responsibility is Scrum Master responsibility is, what is his responsibility as a Scrum Master? What he wants to do here? He is responsible for the complete overall process and complete system. He is responsible for the entire system from the requirement gathering to till the application gets delivered to the customers. See, this is the Scrum Master is the one who is responsible for getting like he is responsible for entire system. See, whatever happens in this particular project, he want to track all the information. What are all the information that he needs to track? Either the product owner got the requirements or not, that needs to be checked by the Scrum Master. This this all the requirements that has been properly logged into this Jira tool or not. So when the like what requirements that needs to be taken and that needs to be started development, when that needs to be started development, when that needs to be ended within this 2 to 3 weeks of time. So like that, he is going to track each and every person's work. Means he is going to track what the developers are doing. Developers are really they are completing their work on time or not. What the testing team is doing, they are delivering their work on time or not. So there is no lagging. It's going on. The completely till the application gets delivered to the customer, right? Till that particular point, he is the one who is responsible. He is the wholesale person who is responsible for entire process. So he is the previously there is a project managers are playing this particular role, but when agile methodology comes in, right, from that point of time, they are just the whole responsibility has been taken by the scrum master. Scrum master, whatever the whatever the software that is not installed, whatever the software that is required for the team, or whatever the hardware that is really required, either all the team is working properly or not. Did really they have struck up in any place, either in the software, or either he does not have any laptop got crashed or anything. See, everything should be noted by this Scrum Master, and not only the software development. Either he has he has struck the persons has struck technically in any other places. Then he is going to jump into the things, and he is going to do an analysis of that particular things here. So all the things are going to be tracked by this from end to end process. He is going to involve end to end. End to end means from starting from the customer providing requirements to its delivery happen to customers. The project deliver happens to the customer from end to end, customer to customer. We are the responsible persons. So, and in addition to this, there is another role is called, it is there. That role is nothing but development team. See, here we are just going to have only these roles. So when we are talking about the development team, right? Who and all comes under this development team here? Here, the project manager, entire development team, and test managers, test or QA managers, QA or test managers, and entire testing team, testing or QA team. You are getting this point. See here, development team means previously in some other models and all, development team means who is going to be there. Only the developers comes under the development team. But in the agile process, so the entire testing development team and testing team, they have just combined, and they are going to call them as an only development team. Here development team means that all these people comes under the development team only. So project manager, test manager, development team, testing team, QA team, all these people are going to be, they have just combined, and they are calling it as a only development team. You are getting this point. So these are all the 4 roles. It is going to be there. See what these people are going to do, that we have more clarity. Project manager is going to just do an estimation of all the things, understanding the requirements, and giving that requirement, understanding, and spreading that, whatever the requirement that he has understood, he is going to explain the same thing to the entire team, and the development team is going to take the requirements from the project manager or otherwise Scrum Master or product owner, and they are going to work. And once the development is done, this testing team is going to do parallelly testing activities is going to get performed. So these are all the 4 roles. It is there in this agile process. You are getting this point. See, when I just want response, like Agile is the one which you see internally when you enter into any company, right? They are going to say that we are following Agile process. So what is this Agile process means? I told you it is nothing but we will be having every 2 to 3 weeks of once. We are just going to have the releases. Here we will not have the complete requirements. Whatever the requirements that we got it from the customers, we are going to take that requirements and we are going to start our development related stuff here. And see, when we are working on Agile, right, here the requirements are not going to get freezed. So the requirements, we may get changes in the requirements at any time. Any time means what? See, already we have started development and the development team has already started developing and they have completed around 70% of the work. In the meantime, the customer is going to say that whatever the requirements that already I have given, that is wrong. So please consider this requirement. That's what the customer is going to come up with. Okay, you got it, right? So then we want to always see whatever the place it may be, either developer is developing or it has already developed and tester is testing. Even whatever the stage you are, if the customer is going to come up with any changes in the requirements, we want to accept that requirements at any point of time. That is the major advantages of this Agile. See, this Agile process is going to do more benefit for the customers only. That is the reason. See, now in this current world, everyone is a competitive, it's a competitive world, correct? In this competitive world, what is the expectation of the customer is they can give anything, whatever the things that they are giving, the IT companies should accept that requirement. They want to do the requirements and they want to provide without any hesitation. So they cannot say already you have provided this requirements, now you are providing you are changing the requirements. So for this and all, we cannot accept like that and all, you cannot say in the Agile process. You're getting it, right?
Yeah.
See, here, do you have any questions over here? I just, so because without understanding, we cannot move forward. Whatever the questions, it may be either it may be related or not related or whatever the things. Please come up with some set of questions if you have anything in your mind. So whatever your mind is asking, like please let me know. Is it fine for you? You're able to understand the things? Can we move forward? Okay, thank you. See, when it comes to the Agile, right? Now we have seen what are the roles that are involved. Now I just want to tell you about this Jira tool. So Jira tool is the one which is going to maintain all the project related informations, and also it is going to show you the complete process. What is the process, like what kind of things that is like really it's going on. So all this information is going to be available in this particular Jira tool only. So when it comes to Agile process, Jira tool is going to help to track about to track your complete project related information. Okay, so here this is one point, and I'll just go back to this. See here, we should have releases should be happened within 2 to 3 weeks of time. So based on this 2 to 3 weeks of time only, you are just going to take the requirements. See which requirements you want to take. For example, this requirements you can take, but as per estimation, right, this cannot complete within this 3 weeks of time. What you are just going to do means you are just going to break this into some set of 2 requirements. And again, like after breaking up, you are just going to check that these requirements can be done within this 2 weeks of time. So if that is okay means, then you are just going to proceed with this particular requirements, and you are just going to have a release within this 3 weeks of time. Okay. Next one, you are just going to take another requirement here. Okay. So if here we are just going to call each and every release. Each and every release will be there, right? 2 to 3 weeks of once we are just saying that there is a release. So for each and every release, they are going to name it as a sprint. See here, when it comes to the agile, we are going to tell them what happened. See, maybe like it got disconnected means please try to rejoin. Actually, this is not the authorized, like we are trying for the another Zoom, like for the paid version. Okay, once we get till that we get that right, kindly support us. Like just rejoin once again if it is going to log out or anything. Okay.
Okay.
See, here when it comes to the agile process, we are just going to call it as a, like there is a term, like there is a release called sprint release. If this sprint releases and all, how the sprints are going to get released? Sprint means what? So it's nothing but, so how many days, within how many days you are just going to release? That means, so you are just going to release within 2 weeks of time or 3 weeks of time. See, this time period is there, right? Either 2 weeks, 2 weeks once you are going to 2 weeks once you are just going to release, or 3 weeks once you are just going to release. This time span is there, right? This is going to be decided after discussing with your customer. Customer should accept for this, and also your team span, based on your team span, how much team it is available, and what how much of the requirements that we have got from the customer. Based on that, how the customer is expecting from us to release, either 2 weeks once he is expecting us to release means we want to prefer 2 weeks once, or he is expecting us to release for 3 weeks once means we are just going to release for every 3 weeks once. So you're getting it right. So that 2 weeks or 3 weeks once releases and all, it's going to be happen based on the sprint. So here agile process is nothing but, here we are just going to have sprint models. So internally we are just going to have this agile process as a sprint model. So sprint model means, so for example, you take, we are going to release within 2 weeks once, one requirement we are just going to release. That means 13th we have started. So 27th is the release. So I'm just going to say that sprint 1, SPRN, sprint 1, it should be released. It should start date is going to be 13/5/2022, and its end date should be, this is our proposed plan of releasing. So we are just going to have in the sprint releases, so we want to decide how much of the requirement that we got from the customer. Based on that, you are just going to have number of sprints: sprint 1, sprint 2, sprint 3, sprint 4. Like this, you are just going to mention, like in the starting itself, based on how much of the requirements that we got from the customer, that requirements we are just going to make it as a bits and pieces of the requirements, pieces of the requirements. We are just going to subdivide that requirements into some bits and pieces, and then we are just going to take this pieces of this requirements, and we are just going to complete that requirements within each and every sprint. So within this sprints, how much of the things that you'll be able to do, that you can just proceed with the things. So see here one small mistake. It's like 27 end date is, it's going to be end date of this sprint cycle 1 is, it's going to be 27/5/2022. See, what is the main advantages of going for agile process means, one point is the customer, if the customer is not going to give the complete information in one steps also, we are just going to develop the things, whatever the things that he is clear about that, we are just going to take that small chunks of small pieces of requirements, and we are going to develop that piece of requirements within the very short time. Okay, within very short time, we are just going to release, develop the things, and we are going to release. Yes. Any doubts? No, right? Okay. Here we are just going to release within a very short span of time. One thing is customer. This is customer benefit is customer is no need to provide the complete requirement. That is one advantage. Customer no need to provide complete requirement. This is one advantage. Advantages of agile. Why we want to go for an agile? So for this, these are all the points. Customer can come up like either he can also give only like he can just orally explain the requirements to our product owner. Product owner is the one who is going to analyze more, and he's going to understand the complete process of this customer, and this product owner is going to define the requirements. So, okay, in first point is, it is going to be very much beneficial to the customer, because even though he does not have the complete requirements also, whatever the requirement that he has, with that requirement, we are just going to proceed. Okay, that is one point. Second point is, we are just going to have customer can releasing to the customer, release to the customer within very short span of time. Short span of time. Within very short span, we are just going to release it to the customers. So you are getting this point. So first point is customer, like it is also customer benefit only. Second, also it's going to be very much customer. See, previously in some other models and all, the customer is able to view the things, that is they are going to get the developed application after some time, like in the waterfall model and all, after 6 months only, is after 6 months to 1 year only, he is going to view the things. But in some other models like Spiral or V model or anything, right? Again, it's going to take some set of time, like it's going to be 3 months or 6 months or something. So when it comes to the incremental and iterative model also, there the like incremental model, it is little bit okay, fine. So which we have taken the same thing in this agile. So we are just going to release some set of things. But here in that also, usually incremental will happen. Maybe it is going to take 1 or 2 months of time. But when it comes to the agile, right? here we are just going to deliver whatever the requirements that we have developed within this 2 weeks of time, like that we are just going to deliver it to the customer. Customer can visually, they will be able to view the system, and they will be able to feel the system, and if there is any changes that should be done in that developed code, they are going to come up the feedbacks in that particular point of time itself. Okay, so that is the very much advantage. Customer is going to view the things in very short span of time. So because of this releases to the customer within very short span of time. So this basically, right, that too, here we are not going to compromise. There is no compromise in the quality level also. Quality of the software. So see here, this quality related stuff is the one which we are just going to take, even though it's very short span of time. Within this short span of time, everything should get happened. So the developer should develop, testers like or a QA people should validate. Everything should happen within this 2 weeks of time. So within this 2 weeks of time, if we are releasing, means the customer thinks that like they did not maintain the quality, means no, we are just perfectly maintaining our quality of the product of this application. So these are all the major advantage within this short span of time. Also, the responsibilities of the QA team is to maintain. That means we should make sure that whatever the requirements that has been developed by this development team, that has been properly developed or not. We are just going to validate very keenly. Okay, you got it right. So here it's going to within this short span of time, here how the process is sprint one. For example, you see, we are just going to start sprint one here. So sprint one, initially it is going to start, means, so before starting the sprint one itself, there is a Scrum Master will be there, right? Scrum Master, SM. Scrum Master responsibility is he want to add all the requirements. For example, like already the product owner is there, right? Product owner is going to add some set of epics. Epics is nothing but the requirements which is given by the customer. That he is going to get it as an epics, and he is going to add it to a tool called Jira. Jira tool. That's what like we have seen, right? Using this Jira tool only, they are going to write this epics. Who is going to write this epics? Product owner is going to write this epics. From this epics, they are going to break down this epics is nothing but the requirement only. We are just going to break down this requirement into some set of user stories. You are just going to call them as a user stories. User stories is nothing but we are just going to break this our requirements into some set of user stories, means some set of pieces of the requirements. So here one piece of the requirement, another one is another piece of requirement, another one is another piece of requirement, the other one is another. We are just going to have another piece of requirements. So here each and everything we are just going to call them as an user story. This is user story 1, this is user story 2, user story 3, user story 4. So like this epics, right? We may have multiple epics. We are just going to get multiple epics here. So based on the customer requirement, how the customer is providing, Based on that, this product owner is going to create multiple epics. Epics is nothing but the requirement which does not have more elaboration. But when we are just going to split that requirements into some set of pieces and we are going to make it as a user story, means here we are just going to elaborate that requirements. We are just going to elaborate this particular requirements. Understood, right? So how we want to build this system, what is the requirement is, what is the functionality we want to build, how the system should behave. All this information is going to be available in the user stories. See, if the user story, again, it is going to be very much big, right? Again, we are just going to break that user stories into some set of subtasks. Subtasks. This subtask means, again, we are just going to break this requirements into some set of small pieces of requirements. If the requirement itself is very big, means again we are just going to break that. So either you can call it as a subtask or otherwise like subtask only. Subtask means under this user story, you are just going to create some subtask. Okay. So subtask means like it's nothing but a small pieces of requirements. They are breaking it. Because why they are breaking it into some set of small pieces of requirements means because we are going to have the release will be there, right? Our release is going to be within 2 weeks of time. Within this 2 weeks, you want to complete one requirement, right? You may not complete. For example, they have already done the estimation. They cannot complete. That is the reason they are going to break it into some chunks of pieces of the requirements. Now, after breaking up this into 3 pieces, in the first sprint, so they are going to take this requirement 1 and 2, either subtask 1. We are just going to call this as subtask 1, subtask 2, or subtask 3. So now we are within this 2 weeks of time, we can complete first task and second task. Third task cannot be completed. Then what you are just going to do? So first release means sprint 1. We are just going to move this requirement to next sprint called sprint 2. Sprint 2 will be there. So we are just sprint 2 is going to get started after this 2 weeks of time. So it is going to get entered on 27th, right? 27th. So after 27th, there is another date called 30th. 30th, we want to start the next sprint. 30th March, 30th May, we are just going to start the second sprint. Then this piece of the requirement is there, right? That we are just going to add it. This requirement, again, we are just going to add. If already user story 2 is very small, means you are just going to add that user story 2 also into this particular sprint. So these two, in this particular second sprint, only these two user stories only can be accommodated. So or otherwise, still we have some space, means if the user story 3 is very small, means we are just going to take this user story also. So we are just going to complete 3 user stories within this second sprint. In the first sprint, we have taken the subtask user story 1 related subtask 1 and 2 has been taken. In the second sprint, we have taken the remaining thing subtask 3 as well as user story 2 and user story 3 has been taken, and we are just going to complete within this particular thing. But now, after completing this, when the next sprints get started, sprint 3 or something, there we are just going to take the other user stories and we are just going to develop. You are getting this point?
Yes, Rajesh.
Actually, this is the overall process, sprint process. Agile process is going to be like this only. Initially, this product owner is going to get some requirements and he is going to add that requirement into the tool called Jira tool. From that Jira tool only, we are just going to break that requirements into some set of subtasks, sub modules related stuff. Here still the requirement is very large, cannot accommodate within the sprint release, means that within the 2 weeks of time you cannot complete this requirement, means again you are going to break this into some set of 2 or 3 pieces, this requirements, and then you are just going to take that into a consideration, and you are just going to do the sprint releases. So that's what, like, say sprint 1, it gets started on so sprint date, it started on 13th and it's going to get ended on 27th. Here, for example, in our diagram, we have taken into consideration of task 1, subtask 1 has been taken plus subtask 2. So within this time span, we are able to complete only this 2 tasks only. So that is the reason we have taken this 2 tasks. And after completing this task, right, we want to release it to the customers here. Release to the customers. When it should get released means on 27th or 28th, like in the next day itself, it should be released to the customers. On the same day, 27th only, actually we want to release it to the customers on 27th itself, 27th evening. Release to customers. Here, customer can visually view the things. So he can visually view the things, and he can come up with some set of changes also in the requirements, or he may not come up with the requirement changes also. So that depends on the customer. Customer also needs to say, okay, like this release is fine for me. So you just move forward like that. Even though this customer is going to provide changes or not, like he's not going to provide the changes, we are just going to start our next sprint. So if the customer changes are very urgent, means then you are just going to consider, instead of taking this particular next task, yes, like you have planned for sprint 3, right? So you sprint 3 you have planned for subtask 3 plus user story 2 plus user story 3. That's what you have planned. But in case customer, after releasing this thing, customer is going to come up with one set of requirement called, like maybe like user story, he is going to come up some set of requirement called user story 5. He is telling that it is very urgent. He is going to come up with user story 5 and user story 6. So he is telling that user story 5 is very urgent, user story 6 can be developed later also. Then what you are just going to do means, you are just going to add this user story 3 in this particular point, and you are just going to remove the user story 3 here. So you are just going to develop and test only subtask 3, user story 5 and user story 2. So if this user story 5, whatever the thing that we has given is, it's very bigger, means you can also remove this user story 2 and add it to the user story, like add it to the next sprint. So your next sprint is going to get started when, like for example, here our sprint is going to get started on 30th. Sorry, here 30th it is going to get started. So 2 weeks means obviously, so 30th it started, and 13th it should get completed. 13/6. So on 13/6, this sprint 2 also should be released to the customers. On 13th, sprint 2 should be released to the customers. Right? So like this, it is going to happen. Sprint 1, sprint 2, sprint 3, sprint 4. See, till the requirements gets ended by the customer, we are just going to keep on increasing the sprints. Okay, you got it, right? You are getting these points, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, fine. So this is the process, overall process. It is happening in the agile process. So when it comes to agile, they are going to talk about sprints. So the releases is nothing but sprint releases. Sprint 1 release, sprint 2 release, sprint 3, sprint 4, sprint 5. So it's keep on going. When it is going to get ended means whenever the customer stop giving the requirement, he is saying he is telling that the entire system has been built. So here afterwards, the nothing to build, like whatever the things that has been already developed, it's fine for me. That's what if the customer is going to say means, then that's it. Our sprints are going to get ended at that particular point of time. Till that point, like we are just keep on going. Here, whatever the changes customer is giving, see in whatever the stage already. So for example, you think that subtask 1 has been developed. This customer is saying that the total development which you have done in the subtask 1, it is it is not the proper one. So the complete thing you want to change means you want to accept. Everyone should accept, like as a this product owner should accept, scrum master should accept, development managers, development team means project managers, QA managers, development team, testing team, everyone should accept, and they want to erase this subtask code, and they want to build a new task which has been provided by this customer. You are getting my point. See, in here the customer can come up with the changes at any point of time. We should be always ready to accept the changes. That is the main part of this agile methodology. So agile methodology main process is like we should be ready to accept any changes at any time. That is also major advantage. Ready to accept any changes at any point of time. Customer is going to come up at any point of time, any requirement changes. We should accept that everything. So that's what it's going to get happen here. So this is the complete like agile process. It's going to happen here. So if I just go inside this here, see how we are just going to validate, like see you are saying that I can accommodate user story 1, user story 2 into the sprints, right? So how we are just going to accommodate that means, see for each and every user story, we are just going to have some set of time will be, for example, user story 1. So you are just going to say that it is going for developing this user story and testing, developing and testing. It is going to take approximately around 2 days of time. Then here, when it comes to the user stories, right, we are not going to talk in the days and all. We are just going to talk about the story points related stuff. Story points. We are just going to convert this days into time, like a points. Points means, so one story point, usually one story point. See, this story point can vary from project to project, but in most of the companies, right, they are following that one story point is equal to 6 hours of time. Or some companies may follow a different process. One story point equal to 4 hours or otherwise 8 hours. They may say that one story point equal to 4 hours, or some companies may say that is their wish. They can change this story points at their configuration related stuff. So one story point equal to 6 hours. For example, we'll take this thing 6 hours time. That means user story 1 is going to take 2 days means per day, how many hours you are just going to work? 6 hours, right? 8 hours. 8 hours is our working hours, correct? 8 hours is our working hours, correct or wrong?
Yes, 8 hours.
8 hours. So here in this 8 hours, we are just going to say that the like 6 hours only, 6 hours are the productive hours. Remaining 2 hours is there, right? Remaining 2 hours is going to be, it's an you can utilize for any other times, like you can for knowledge upgrade, or otherwise for like if you have struck in any one of the users where you are not, you are, while you are testing, you got some problem, your system got crashed, so some kind of issues, disturbances will be there, right? So usually companies are going to treat that 6 hours as a productive hour. Remaining 2 hours are going to be allotted for some other things. You can spend for some other things and all. Okay. So this is going to be overall view. Now, if I want to develop and test this user story, how many user stories I want to see for development? See, within this 2 days, you are just saying that, right? In this 2 days, 1.5 day, it's time taken for development. So don't like here we'll take it as a 3 days. For completing this user story, we are just going to have 3 days time. Here 2 days they are going to take for development. 2 days they are going to take for development. 1 day it's going to be test for testing purpose. So totally 3 days is done. Now, when I'm just going to calculate regarding this user story, how many user stories will be allotted to this story? Sorry, how many story points I'm just going to allot to this user story? Here, how much like see, we are just going to take 6 hours, 6 one story point equal to 6 hours. Sorry, 6 hours. Then this completely 3 days of time is going to take by this user story, means how many user stories it? Please, I want answer for this. See, for doing one or completing one user story, we are just going to take 3 days of time. But here, how many user stories are going to be taken to complete this? How many story points is going to be taken for completing this user story 1? 3 days means one story point equal to 6 hours. I have already told. So we are just going to 3 story points. See, one story point equal to 6 hours. So 1 day productivity is 6 hours. So totally 12. Sorry, 6 means like first 6 hours is going to be 1 day. Second 6 hours is going to be second day. Third 6 hours is going to be third day.